Hey Flosstube, it's Katie the Stash Queen coming to you on this Sunday, April the 17th. I hope everyone has had a good stitchy week. It has been a very long week in the Stash Queen household this week. First off, let me apologize if you hear rain. It is currently raining here and it's scheduled to be raining for the rest of this week if you believe the forecast. So, sorry, we're gonna have a video, we're gonna have rain. But this week has consisted of bad weather, egg-sized hail pounding the house, literally 3 inches long hail. Luckily, we didn't get the softball-sized hail that some other people in the area did. The adjuster came out. It's like we're practically getting a new house with all of the damage from the hail. We're getting new roof, new skylights, new gutters, new screens for our windows, new casing around the screens. Our fence is getting replaced. Our kids' playground in the back, it's a big wooden playground playhouse thing, is getting restained. We're gonna probably get new carpet throughout the whole house because it flows everywhere, and there's one place that definitely needs to be replaced, but you can't just replace that one part. And that's just what I remember. We haven't gotten the full report yet. I think it's going to be really, really long, and that's always fun. Throw in sickness and migraines. I've got a migraine today. The edge is off at the moment, but this weather is not helping. I had to bring my daughter to the ophthalmologist this week for her annual appointment, which led to massive anxiety attacks and having to hold her down because she hates eye drops. She's been getting them since she was 2 when she started going to see the ophthalmologist, and she's been traumatized, and it's a phobia of hers now. So it led to massive anxiety attacks and a bad day at school before, and it's been a long week. Did have date night Friday night, which was nice. First time in like 6 months my husband and I have had an actual date night. Went and had hibachi for dinner, which was good, even if we had some crazy people at our table. And we went and saw Deadpool, which was awesome. So not kid friendly. Language, violence, nudity, jokes. It is hysterical. It is awesome. It is so not for kids. So, hopefully this week will be a little bit less. I mean, even if it's raining all week, I can deal with that. If it's a little bit less than last week, or this past week, that'll be good. Stitchy-wise, it's been an okay week. Because of how busy it was, I didn't get as much progress on a lot of the stuff that I wanted to, but you know, I got a lot of things to show you guys. So we'll get down to it. We'll start off as always with the Q&A. First question is from Kendall Wilson. She asked if I have any tips for reading cross-stitch charts. She's been using digital color charts, and the symbols and black and white charts make her eyes go all buggy. Really, it takes practice. I only use digital charts for things that are relatively easy. My Clouds Factory, my Frosted Pumpkin, a few of the other patterns that I have that are very easy and basic to follow electronically. Otherwise, I do get lost on the electronic patterns with the symbols, especially if symbols are similar to each other. And I like the physical process of being able to mark things out on my chart. I would just say the best thing to do is just it's practice is really what it is. Looking at the symbol on the chart, looking at the symbol on the color portion to figure out which way, which symbol matches which color, double checking, triple checking. I am also a big advocate of actually marking out your symbols as you stitch them. Whether you do it digitally, I don't use it. When I do my digital programs, I'm not marking things out, so I'm not an expert to be able to tell you. I know there's a lot of apps out there that people talk about using for marking out their charts, but since I don't do that, I don't want to speak on that. But I do recommend marking out your charts because it makes it easier to follow when you can see what you've already done versus what you still need to do. But just take your time and practice, and you'll get the hang of it soon enough. I'm sorry I'm not more specific than that, but it's really not. There's no real trick to it besides just learning. Beverly Evandra asks, with all you do, don't you ever get burned out? On life in general, sure. On stitching, not necessarily, no. Stitching is my therapy. It's my creative outlet. It is a stress outlet. Sorry for the glare on my glasses. I'm noticing I'm very glary today. Blame the weather. There are times where I am too exhausted to do anything, and that's not necessarily just because of stitching, but just because of life. I am not burned out on all the starts yet. I don't anticipate doing another year of starts next year, but that's not because I'm burned out. It's just going to be because I'll have triple digit star projects to work on. But no, stitching doesn't burn me out. And one of the reasons why it doesn't is because I work on so many different pieces. I may not get to every piece in a day. In fact, most days I don't anymore, but I can work on something and have it for a short time period and then put it down. And if I need to go do something else for a little while, I can. And when I come back, I'm not picking up the same piece and picking up something new. So it doesn't ever feel like I'm getting bored with a project or if I'm getting burned out on something. Life will burn me out sometimes. There are some days where I'm just too exhausted to pick up a needle and it just happens, and so be it. But that's not because of stitching. That's usually because of everything else that goes on in life. Little Miss Moth had said, "Oh my goodness, are you going to feature handles?" No comment. She's referring to my Frosted Pumpkin Whovian adventure. If you don't know who Handles is, look him up. That's all I'm gonna say. Carrie Heckman asked, says I work with the most beautiful fabrics. Thank you very much. How do I pick them for each project? Really, it's just I've talked about this before. There are a couple different things that I do. I'm about halfway through right now, kitting up everything for Mania. And if I showed you this room, it would be crazy, the disaster it is right now. But I pull out my box of fabrics and I pick out a piece and I'll start going through it and see, I'll look at the piece and kind of see what they recommend, what I think the pattern calls for based on either the colors of the pattern or the subject of the pattern, and I'll just start looking through my fabrics. And I'll usually pull a couple of them, 2 or 3 or however many I think, ooh, this might look good on this. And then once I narrow it down to those choices, I will go through them again and kind of see what I feel like. Sometimes I will use the viewer, which I've put a link to before, but I'll put another link to it this week. Below, which it provides an overlay of quite a few of the patterns out there over quite a few of the hand dyed fabric designers out there. So I can see, even though my fabric may not look exactly the same, and it never will look exactly the same as the fabric that is in the viewer, I can get a good idea. Sometimes I will message Coffee Stitcher or other people and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of. What do you think? To get a second opinion. But I am of the philosophy, and I said this earlier this week to Stitch and Fish, Cindy, hi Cindy, earlier this week, the thing about stitching, if you decide to switch out colors of floss, if you decide to switch out colors of fabric, if you decide to make a pattern your own, however you decide that to be, as long as you are happy with it, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. If you are happy with the color changes you make on the floss and you love it, it doesn't matter if it may not be someone else's style. It's your style. You like it. Do it. Same with colors of fabrics. If you think that a piece will look awesome on a fabric, go for it. It's not, there's no real right or wrong. I have some that are, that you would think, 2 that I'm thinking of. Miss Valentine's is an almost all pink piece that I'm doing on pink fabric, but I think that she's going to look awesome on it. Flames of Desire is a red piece on almost entirely red fabric, and a lot of people have been like, are you insane doing it on this piece of fabric? Because they're afraid it's all going to blend in. But I know, I trust that it's not, and I know that it's not based on what the pattern looks like, and I like it, and so who cares what everyone else says? Don't let anyone tell you that something is wrong. If you like it and you want to do it and you say this neon green fabric is what I want to do this pink and purple fairy on, more power to you. Go for it. Enjoy. Someone else may not like it. In fact, someone else is not going to like anything. You're never going to please everybody. It's just not going to happen. My dislikes on my video prove that. But if you are happy with what you are doing, go for it. Jamie Lynn Moore said that she was wondering what fabric I'd recommend for someone who usually only uses Aida. The first fabric that I would go even weave instead of linen, first off, because even linen is wonderful. I love working with linen. I have tons of linen in my projects, but linen and the concept of working on linen and even weave is the same as far as working over two. But linen isn't always even. And so it can be a little bit intimidating for someone who may not be used to anything other than Aida at first. I would recommend an even weave. My favorite even weave to use is Joblin because it's soft and it takes color beautifully, and I just really like working with it. And it was the first fabric that I used when I ventured out of the Aida category. Depending on your count of Aida that you typically use, that would be what I would recommend you, like what you use most would be what I would recommend you go to for even weave. But now keep in mind, a 14 count Aida is the same size as 28 count even weave when you stitch over two, which is like stitching in a tic-tac-toe board. You look at a little set of 9 holes and you do diagonal over diagonal, and there you go. If you like stitching on 16 count Aida most, I would recommend going to 32 count even weave, just because it would, getting over the two, it'll still provide the same size of the X's once they're done. But I would say get a scrap. You can get a small piece somewhere. You can get them from 1-2-3 Stitch. You can get them from an L&S. You can get there's even, at your local Hobby Lobby or Joann's or Michael's, you can usually get just the plain white MCG textiles even weave. It's not the best brand of even weave out there, but it's a good one to use to start practicing or for smaller pieces. I use it. But you can take something like that and just kind of test it. Just remember, it's not as scary as people make it out to be in their heads. It's just a tic-tac-toe board, X over X. And even weaves and linen are a whole lot easier to use when you've got fractional stitches. Just saying. Mira R says, I have a couple questions. Do I plan on doing a year of finishes? Not specifically, no. I have said before, I am a process stitcher, not a progress stitch or a product stitcher. If I sit down and start saying I have to work on all of these to make these all finishes, I will get bored. I will probably not do a year of starts next year, so I can focus on, yes, knocking some of these whips out, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to start anything. I'll just keep doing things. I just probably won't to the volume of new starts that I'm doing. I have learned, and I even learned this before I did the year of starts. If I want to start something, I'm going to start something. There's no reason for me to deny myself wanting to do something in this hobby, except for if finances were an issue and I shouldn't be spending money on something, which really isn't usually an issue. So which is why I can never put myself on a formal stash diet. I can never put myself on a formal stop, like not doing any starts. If I may go, and I did this last year. This year, I'm year of starts, so it doesn't count this year. But before, I may go months without a new start because I haven't had a desire to do one, and I'm content with what I'm working on. But when the itch to have a new start strikes, start one. Have fun with it. Don't feel guilty about it. It's how it works for me. So I won't do a formal year of finishes, but there will definitely not be a year of starts to this extent next year. What do you plan on doing with so many potential finishes once they're done? Depends on what they are. I'm doing a lot of small ornaments this year, so those are all eventually going to be ornaments on a Christmas tree. A few of these I can see, and a lot of these are holiday-esque decorations. I would like to be able to have more prominent holiday displays of stitchy stuff in my house than I do currently. Right now I have quite a few Christmas things, but not a lot for the rest of the holidays. So I'd like to be able to rotate things out for the different holidays each year. Some things I can see being given as gifts. Some things are going to decorate this room when this room is done. Some things are going to just go other places in the house. I don't stitch things with a formal plan in mind for them at the end. I mean, yes, the ornaments that I stitch are going to be Christmas ornaments. Whether I keep them or give them to someone else, we'll see what happens when the mood strikes. But I don't stitch 99% of the time with a formal end in sight for these. That puts additional pressure on me, and I don't worry about that. Also, can you show us how you keep your stash organized? Fabric, floss, etc. I have already done a video in regards to my floss storage. I'll put a link to it below. When this room is done, and I have been saying this for months now, and I know it, but now that we may be getting new carpet, and that includes this room, I really need to get this room organized. Once this room is organized, I'll show you guys how I store everything else. It's coming eventually, but I'll put a link to the floss storage video below. A Cried asked, do I stitch when I have insomnia? Usually no. Usually no. If I am not tired at a time that is reasonable to be going to bed, and I don't go to bed, I can keep stitching if my eyes aren't tired. A lot of times my eyes are tired or my brain is tired, but I just can't sleep. Which, if my eyes are tired or my brain is tired, stitching isn't really ideal. Sometimes I may feel exhausted and think, okay, ready for bed, go lay down. I should be out like a light in a few minutes, and then I'm still awake 3 hours later. And at that point, it's not worth it for me to get up and stitch. If I am wide awake enough and I know I'm not going to go to sleep anytime soon and I'm not exhausted, sure, I'll stitch some if I'm in the mood. But usually no. Because usually my insomnia hits after I'm already in bed and after all the stitching's put away and the house is dark, and usually no. G Moss asked, how do I keep track of 367 whips? More than that, really, by the time I'm done. The X-Stitch app is where I keep track of all of the whips, finishes, starts, pending starts, kitted up projects. Everything is in that app, and it is very, very helpful. So that is my Q&A for this week. Thank you, everyone, as always, for your questions. I love answering them. If you have any questions for me, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer them next week. Week in review. Okay. Monthly stitch-alongs. Did not get super far in any of these this week. Put some stitches in all of them. Did not get super far in them. So, first one is my... Sorry, I am just... told you, sickness, and now my nose is all itchy, and... Sorry. Magical Creatures Calendar by Clouds Factory. This is being done on 32 Opal Belfast in Diva from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, using flosses and silks from Mo's sale. And here's where we are in April at this point. I have finished the green grass on the bottom, and I'm now working on the tree. So we are making progress on that. We'll see what I can get to this week. And here's the whole piece at this point. And here's my little minder for minding my minders. You guys see it every week. I'd like to make more progress on this and on my other monthly sales this week. Like I said earlier, life was just not cooperative this week. Hopefully that changes, but right now I'm not so sure. Okay, then the next one I have is my Postcards from the World by Clouds Factory. This one is being done on 32 Joblin and Ice Goddess from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, using flosses and silks from Mo's. Again, not a ton of progress on Moscow this week, but I got the bottom row of ice done, and I'm working on the white because that's a good anchoring color. Again, hopefully make more progress this week. And here's my little Moulin Rouge needle minder from Delicious Threads. And here's the whole piece at this point. And then we have my Hoovionized Pumpkin Passport by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And that is being done on 28 Joblin and Ice Goddess from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, using flosses and silks from Mo's. That I may or may not be featuring handles on. We'll see. Here's where we are at this point. I have the water done here. I have the grass that 11 is standing on there. So now I'm working on the mountain part at the moment. And there's the whole piece at this point. So, slow progress, but progress. You'll just have to wait and see if I'm featuring handles or anything else for that matter. So I'll work on all of these this week, hopefully make more progress on them. Then my focus for a finish, Box of Delights. I did reach the goal that I had for this week, which was to finish all of the black. I am doing this one on 32 Joblin and Chocolate Milk from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And here we go. All of the black is done. So the border is done. The delights are ready to be filled in. So this week, hopefully I'll be able to start filling it in with all the pretty colors I picked out from Drawery. I'm excited. This is a fun piece to work on. And then I have my Jamie needle minder from Minding My Minders. Yay! I was very happy to get all of that black done. And I'm very excited to be going into the actual delights. See, got all the colors picked out. They're all here, ready to be used. Then my flossable stitch along is the spring stitch along that's going on at present. I'm doing the Easter Fairy by Mirabilia. And I'm doing it on 32 Joblin in Seahorse Shores from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. This is another piece I didn't get a ton of progress on this week, but I got a little. I got some more of the brown in her skirt. Moved on to that. And up here, got my little Tinkerbell needle minder from Nifty Needle Manny's. Again, this is another piece this week that kind of suffered because of life, so hopefully we can get a little bit more. And then we have the Outlander Stitch Along, which is the piece, it's my sampler Through the Stones from Crown Street Cottage. I'll put a link to it below. It is the one that I'm working on for 30 minutes every Saturday while Outlander Season 2 is on. It's kind of a boring update this week. I'm doing this on 32 Belfast and Umbriel from Under the Sea Fabrics, and this week we just have more gray roof. So it's not really interesting at this point, but you know, some of those blocks of color just have to happen. And then I have my little crown needle minder from Minding My Minders. Good part is this row right here actually doesn't go up all the way to the top. This is where it starts to have another little detail. So I actually have to pay attention to where I'm going and count and stuff. But I work on this half an hour on a Saturday. Not necessarily while Outlander is on, just whenever I can get onto it. Then my annual Mania Stitch Along this past week, it was a chatelaine week for me. And I worked on Baltic Sea Mandala, which I am doing on 32 Lugana in Mercedes from Picture This Plus. And here is where I was able to get to this week. Got more of the middle work done, and if you can see closely, it's kind of hard to see, but there's sparkle! Pretty blue rainbow gallery petite treasure braid. So yep, I'm happy with the progress I made this week. Didn't get to work on it as much as I wanted, but I made good progress when I did work on it. So, and I have my Starfish needle minder from Gina's Unique Boutique. And then the last of the sals, April is April Showers Bring May Flowers. I finished up week 2 this past week. Hold on. Week 2 was Elf's Garden by Soda Stitch. And I'm doing this on 32 Belfast and Wildflowers from Under the Sea Fabrics. This was a lot of fun to work on this week. Okay. Here is Little Miss Summer. Actually looks more like a person now that she has a face and hair is starting to be stitched in. So I'm really happy with the progress I made on her this week. So Friday started week 3 of the stitch along. Put this one away real quick. And for week 3, I am working on Flowering Crown by Just Nan. And I am doing this one on 28 Joblin and Avalon from Under the Sea Fabrics. And I've already worked on it some this week. I've allowed the past couple of days. So here's where we are at this point. Pretty little flowers of a crown. Had to do some frogging yesterday because I added an extra row of this dark brown color here. And then I've got my Elsa needle minder from Gina's Unique Boutique. So I will keep working on this for the stitch along until Thursday. And then I'll show in a little bit what I'm going to be doing for week 4 for the stitch. Lots of stitch alongs. Year of starts. Okay, let me take a drink. Another successful week getting all my year of starts pieces done. Even if a couple of times I had to do 2 in a day. First one was Queen Bee. And this is from Cross Stitch and Needleworks Spring 2015 issue. This one right here. Oh, sorry, I'm so itchy today. Allergies are not being my friend. Put that up there. And I am doing this one on 28 Lugana and Chalice from Picture This Plus. It's a piece that I got from a Stitchy box. And here is where we were able to get to at this point. And I have my cute little Bumblebee Girl needle minder from Nifty Needle Nannies. Then the next start was from the Festive Wreath Ornament Collection from the Cross Stitch and Needleworks Holiday 2015 issue, the Dove Ornament, which is this one right here. And I'm doing this one just on silver perforated paper. Here's where I was able to get to at this point. So happy with the progress of the rows in the middle and all that. Then the next one was from Cute Cross Stitch Spring 2013. It is Water Babies by Joan Elliott. So cute. And I'm doing this one on 28 Joblin and Fathoms Below from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And here's where I was able to get to. Just work on some of that pale blue water. I have my cute little blingy turtle needle minder from Nifty Needle Nannies. Then the next one was my teacup collection from Vermilion Stitchery. It is April Sweet Pea. Don't have a pattern to show you, sorry. But here is my Sweet Pea start. Lots and lots of pink. And this is being done, all 12 are going to be done on this one piece of fabric, which is 32 Belfast and Whimsical Winter from Under the Sea Fabrics. So it's January, February, March, April. And here's my little coffee cup needle minder from Minding My Minders. Gotta put everything away. Then the next one was Animal Print ABCs. This is from World of Cross Stitch issue number 205. It's actually a pattern that was designed by Anchor for Anchor threads, but I converted it to DMC because I don't use Anchor. And I am doing this on 32 Lugana in Fresco from Picture This Plus. And here's where I got to this point. Not really a letters, but some little paw prints. And I have my little Grover needle minder from Minding My Minders. Then the next one, I did the Ukrainian Egg B, the second of the series of 3. So B is this one right here. Originally, I was going to kind of do it this setup with 3 eggs and do them framed separately. I decided to change that this week, and I'm now doing them all in one row. And that fabric is, and this is from, from Just Cross Stitch, April 2015. And I am doing all 3 on 32 Joblin in Sailor's Delight from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. So here is egg B, which is kind of hard to see. But I decided there's egg A and egg B, and then egg C will be around the same place that the star is. And then I'll cut this down a little bit more once I have that done. But I kind of like the idea of having all 3 of them together, so. And then my little star needle minder from Nifty Needle Manny's. I was just looking at it when I was getting ready to start, and I'm like, you know what? Just do it all 3 in a row. Use the extra fabric elsewhere. And then my last of my new starts this week is an electronic pattern. I'll put a link to it below. It is Jane Austen's Mini Library from Clouds Factory, and I'm doing this on a scrap piece of fabric that I had in my stash. And then I got started on, that's Jane. And then there's Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth, and then all the titles. I decided instead of using Mo's, I'm going to use some DMC variegated flosses that I have in my stash for the titles when I get to there. And then I have my Pride and Prejudice quote needle minder from Minding My Minders. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but she pops pretty well in person. And she'll pop more when she has the rest of her details in. So that was my year of starts. Yay! Can you believe we're already, on April 17th? I still have so many starts to go. It's okay. I'm having fun. All that matters. I embrace my insanity. Whips this week. Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry. Because of how crazy life was, I only got to 3 whips this week. That's okay. First one was Moonflowers by Mirabilia. She's so pretty. And I'm doing this one on 32 Joblin in Pandora from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. Here is where I was able to get to. It's more of the, it's kind of hard to see right there, but that's a little bit better color-wise. So I made some progress, and then I have this pretty fantasy tree needle minder from Minding My Minders. These other 2 I made more decent progress on. Because I kind of got on rolls with them. Next one was my Nativity Silhouette, and this is from Cross Stitch and Needlework, January 2015. And I am doing this one on 28 Joblin in Chocolate Milk from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie as my patterns fall over here. Here we go. So I was able to work more on the part of the creche at the top. That pretty red color. And that'll be all filled in with ecru later. And then I have my little Linus needle minder from Minding My Minders. I was pleased with the progress. And then my last whip this week that I was able to get to, excuse me, was my Nunavut Santa from Mill Hill. And it looks more like something other than just a blob of white. Worked more on the polar bear. So there's his back leg and all that. So made some good progress, and that's a lot of white. So that was what I worked on this week. Yay! So plans for the week ahead. Let me scroll down instead of, so I can see what my plans for the week are ahead. I swear some days my head wasn't attached to my body, it would fall off. So I will keep working on my monthly stitch alongs, so postcards and passport and the magical creatures. I will keep working on my box of delights and actually start filling in the delights. I'm excited. The Flosstube stitch along for Easter Fairy I'll keep working on. Outlander I'll work on again next Saturday. Then for the annual Mania Stitch Along, this week is a Brooks Books week for me. And we are back to the Spirit of Cross Stitch Angel. And the last time I worked on her, I realized I was missing some beads. So those have been ordered. So here's where we are at this point. When we last left this, I was working on the white beads. So I want to get the beading finished here on the wings. Because once the beading is finished on the wings, then I can move on to another piece of perforated paper and start working on the actual angel and all of her little bits and bobs. So if I can get all of the beading done this week, that will make me happy. If I can get more than the beading done this week, it'll make me even happier. But see, got the beads in here. Had the white, needed the champagne. And I just haven't put it in the little box yet. Then the April showers bring me flowers. I'll keep working on my flowering crown by Just Nan until Thursday. And then Friday we'll start week 4. And I've been doing flower pieces all month. I'm going to use the last week to do a water piece. And I'm going to be doing Little Mermaid from the Thomas Kinkade Disney Dreams collection. And here is where we are at this point. Here's the starting point. And I have my pinup Ariel from Nifty Needle, or from Gina's Unique Boutique. My apologies. So I'll work on the water and the sky and all that stuff. Figured I did a lot. And there's some flowers. Yeah, there's flowers in this too. So it covers both. Then, Year of Starts. It's going to be a very Christmassy week this week, which is fine. The first one that I have for the Year of Starts this week is from Just Cross Stitch, the 2012 Christmas ornament issue. And it is Emperor's Gift, which is this one right here. I have a thing for penguins. And I'm going to be doing this just on 28 count white even weave. This is the MCG Textiles brand that I mentioned earlier. You can get it at your Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby. It's when I'll cut a piece down from, just haven't cut it down yet. But I'll cut a piece down for it and I'll use it, but it's a good even weave to practice on. And then I have my little penguin needle minder from Nifty Needle Nannies. Then the next one is from Just Cross Stitch's 2011 Christmas ornament issue. And it is Christmas Favorites. It's by Prairie Schooler. It's this one right here. This cute little angel. And I'm just going to be doing this on a piece of 32 count natural linen. And I have this little angel needle minder from Nifty Needle Nannies. Probably cut this down because this does not look like a big piece. Then the next one I have is called Bonsai Tree. It's from Cross Stitch Gold, March 2013. And I am going to be doing this on a piece of 28 Jovelin in Seahorse Shores from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. It's the other half of the piece that Easter Fairy was started on. And I have a cute little owl needle minder from Nifty Needle Nannies because it's a tree. Then the next one, I can't actually show you the pattern. It's again from one of those, it's from World of Cross Stitching issue number 211. It's another one of those pieces that came from, you know, all of the little motifs that are in the middle of the issue. It's called Cross Stitch Witch. You'll see it when I get it worked on. And I'm just doing this on a piece of pink scrap fabric that I had in my stash. And my needle minder says, so many projects, so little time. From Minding My Minders. Thought it was very appropriate. Then the next one is from Just Cross Stitch's 2013 Halloween issue. And it is Happy Halloween. I know several people have done this piece. And I am doing it on 28 Jaslyn in Autumn Fields from Silk Weavers, which is this right here. Pretty neutral. And I have a little pumpkin needle minder from Nifty Needle Nannies. Then the next one that I have planned is from World of Cross Stitching issue number 196. It is Christmas Reindeer. It's an Ursula Michael piece, I believe. And I am doing this on 32 Opal Lugana in Sparkling Forest from Silk Weavers, which pretty sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. And I have my little girly reindeer from Nifty Needle Nannies. And then the last one that I have for this week, probably the one I'm most excited about this week. So, just because. It is Lizzie Kate's Cross Stitcher in Residence. And I am going to be doing this on a 32 count natural linen, which the minder says, if you can't stand the mess, get out of my craft room. Really appropriate today, trust me. And it's from Minding My Minders. But what I'm most excited about is I am going to be using the Valdani Muddy Monet collection flosses that I got from Stitchy Box for the pieces instead of the called for flosses. It's going to be fun. So those are my planned starts for this week. And then I pulled out, 7 whips for this week. I had 4 holdovers from last week, plus 3 more for the 3 that I finished last week. As I have said before, I may not get to all of them, but I'd rather have all of them to show you in case for some reason I do. So first one is Orchid Intrigue, and it's from Just Cross Stitch February 2015. And I'm doing it on 32 Belfast in Arene from Under the Sea Fabrics. And here's where we got to when I worked on it last. And I have this pretty rose needle minder from Gina's Unique Boutique, but here's where we are. And I'm actually doing this one 1/2 on the 32 count, and I think the coverage is just fine. Then the next one is Penzi from the Vintage Seed Packets set. This one is from Cross Stitch and Needlework March 2014. And I am doing it on 32 Jobelan and Georgia Peach from Under the Sea Fabrics. And here's where we are at this point. I have my little Ella needle minder from Nifty Needle Nannies. Then the next one that I have is my Pikes Peak Santa from Mill Hill. And it's just a blob of brown right now. Brown. Yay. Hope I make some more progress on it this week. And then my last holdover for the week was my Pinup Girls from Soda Stitch. These little beauties. And I am doing them on 32 Jobelan and Pixie Kiss from Hand-Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. Here is where we are at this point with the one girl in the middle. And here is my little rhinestone needle minder from Gina's Unique Boutique. Then the other ones I pulled for this week, one I may actually make as a finish. We'll see. Fingers crossed if I get to it. It's the electronic pattern. I'll put a link to it below. It is from the My Little Pony set that I'm working on. Pinkie Pie. So this one. Pinkie Pie, and I'm doing them on 14 count perforated plastic. So that's rarity right there. She's not coming up for a while, but Pinkie Pie's right here. And I have my little Pony needle minder from Minding My Minders. So I'll work on her. I could possibly finish her. We'll see. That would be cool if I did. Then the next piece that I have is actually also going to be my piece for the Purple Haze Stitch Along which is next Sunday, but we'll get to that next Sunday. It is Plum Pudding by Glendon Place. And I'm doing that one on 28 Lugana in Whimsy from Picture This Plus. Open it up here. Here's where we are at this point. It's a little bit easier to see the colors back here, but the detail is easier to see up close. And I have a 10th Dr. Needle Minder from Minding My Minders, just because I love 10. And then my last one that I pulled for this week, let's get to it, is my Prairie Schooler alphabet. So the ABC portion is what I've got out right now. And I will work on A, make some more progress on A. And it is on 32 Joblin and Toasted Almond from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And here, again, this is the piece I'm doing all of them on one piece. So here's where we are at this point. We have A, B, and then C. So I'll work more on A over here. And I have my Wonder Woman needle minder from Minding My Minders. Yay! So those are all my plans for this week. Maybe life will be nice and let me get to some of them. You know, when it rains, it pours, right? So, let's see here. Stash acquisitions. I only have a couple things to show this week. One was actually a rack from my friend Michelle. Hi, Michelle. She had ordered the bell pull hanger for one of the Stony Creek series. And either she ordered 2 by accident or she got sent 2 by accident, but she had a second one and she knew I had the series in my stash. And so she asked if I would be interested in having the other one. And so she was so sweet, and she sent the ho ho ho. It's for those 3 that go ho ho ho. This is the bell pull hanger for that set. So now I have this, which makes me more eager to start it, and I may actually have to figure out where to put it in my rotation. But thank you, Michelle. That was so, so sweet of you. I really, really appreciate it. It'll be my first bell pull to actually have a bell pull hanger. That's so cool. And then the other thing I got this week, well, I got my Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie ordered this week. I have already put it in one of my year of starts for this upcoming. So I'll show that off when I do my my May year of starts video. But it's a really pretty neutral colors this month. It's awesome. And then I got the next issue. This is the June 2016 issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. And I'll do a quick flip through real fast for you guys, just to show off the patterns that are in here. This one is called Farm Fresh Basket. Those cute word ones. I could actually see doing this and giving this to a certain person in my life. It's very cute. Then we've got, and it's an Ursula Michael, duh. Then here is Poppy. This is the cover photo. Very pretty, very red. And then the next one in here, this is Summerscape. This one would be one that would be really nice for a hand dyed because none of that white is actually stitched. So this would be one that would be nice for a pretty blue hand dyed, or even like an orangey hand dyed that could look like a sunrise or a sunset. This would be a good hand dyed fabric piece. And then they gave this perforated paper sample piece because their whole little article in here is perforated paper are popular with Victorians. So this is a Victorian-inspired perforated paper piece called Adam and Eve Sampler, which is cool that it's a sampler for perforated paper. And it's kind of glowing over there, but so. Uh-oh. Cover up Eve. Then, let's see here. The next one is a traditional wedding sampler. It's not really my style, but it's pretty. Then, let's see here. The next one is Rose Ella's Pincushion and Needle Book. I thought the needle book was really cute. The bigger needle book like that. So it gives patterns on how to do both and put both together. Then the Hardanger pattern this month, it's the next band of their band sampler that they're working on. It's band 3, so it's this one right here. It's a pretty sampler overall. I need to try Hardanger. I haven't started that adventure yet. Then the next Seasons in Chalk came out. This is summer. I love this series. I think it's really nice. Then we have nursery rhymes, which are cute if you have a newborn or a baby to do stuff for. We've got Mary Had a Little Lamb, Its Fleece Was White as Snow, and then Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, How I Wonder What You Are. So very cute little basic patterns if you have a baby or a child in your life. Let's see. Then we have some Checkmate coasters. Little chess-themed coasters, which are cute. This would be one that you could easily switch up the colors on too. Then this one is called Paisley and Dots. It's an idea to make a box on perforated plastic or, yeah, plastic or paper and make a little box of it that you can use as the gift as well as the gift inside. It gives all different letters besides B to use to fill in. And then this one is called Be Happy. I like the queen. She's cool. And then this one is Folk Floral. Be a really nice pillow. Again, not really my style, but it's still pretty. And that is it. Lots of good patterns this month. Oh wait, no. Kidding, I lied. The Christmas stitch for this issue is Strawberry Scissor Fob Ornaments. I like how they include something Christmassy in all of their issues now. So it's so cute little ornaments that look like scissor fobs. And that is officially it. So, good bunch of patterns in here if you're interested. If you haven't gotten yours yet or if you want to go and find it, there you go. So plans for the upcoming week. I mentioned earlier I'm about halfway through kitting up my Mania starts. I'm doing 36 starts in May, pushing me well over 366 for the year of starts. But it's my 36th birthday in May, and I did 35 last year for my 35th, so keeping up the tradition. So I'm about halfway kitting those up. If I get those finished kitting up this week, which I really want to do because this room is... I'm not one that has to be super neat all the time, but this is making me twitch even. So I'm going to try to get that finished so I can get that video out. And as soon as I have everything kitted up, I'll get the video. Other than that, I hope everyone has a wonderful stitchy week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!